Hey guys, it's me Luke, and I gotta be honest, even though I love my roommate, some days I just wish I was back in my old room. Damn, I love my imagination. Anyways, before I talk about anything, I have to get this out of the way. I've mentioned this guy before, but there's this troll that's been messing with me for the longest time now, named J. Cole Fan 128. He keeps begging me to make a J. Cole video, and recently he made a video on his channel saying that if one of my next 3 uploads aren't about J. Cole, that I will pay, and that I don't want to know what will happen to me. But I think I'm just gonna do what I've always done with this guy and act like I've never heard of him before. Besides, it's not like any other YouTuber is actively hating on me or anything like that. Oh, hey, Ruff Criminal just uploaded, and it's a video about me?
Time for a review of LukeOnDemand's YouTube channel. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it.
No, the slander and the libel as well. Whatever, let's just talk about the next thing I look at or something. F it, Panchiko. Panchiko is a band that makes music. They're also from the UK. Oh wait, they're British? Alright, cut to season 1, episode 3. Now, normally this is the part of the video where I would do my super in-depth and personal background check on the artist I'm talking about, but it's a bit more complicated this time around. You see, Panchiko doesn't really have a straightforward origin story like most other groups do, where it's something along the lines of, oh, we all met at college, or oh, we all met in the back of a Spencer's. In fact, the history of this band and their project Death Metal is a lot more complicated and mysterious than you would expect. And with every great musical mystery, it always starts in one place. 4chan. The story started whenever an anonymous 4chan user back in 2016 posted on a music board a picture of a random CD entitled Death Metal that they found in a thrift store, saying very creepypasta-esque stuff like, "Guys, I found this CD and I can't find any traces of it anywhere else on the internet. I swear to God, this is not a marketing ploy." And then other 4chan users were like, "Alright, bucko, if this isn't a marketing ploy, send the music now." And then the original poster was like, "Okay, but it sounds like shit because of disc rot or whatever." And then everyone was like, "We don't care, idiot." And then the original poster was like, "God damn, fine." And so they posted it and it sounded like this. Let's just say people were intrigued. And so the hunt began, and it continued for a few years until 2020 when people were actually able to get in contact with 2 of the band members, Owain and Andy. Shortly after this interaction, the remastered non-disc rotted versions of the songs off of Death Metal were recovered and released to the public, as well as 3 other songs that the band recorded together, which was also released and dubbed the Kicking Cars EP. It's a tad bit confusing that 2 separate EPs were found because on all digital platforms, both of the EPs are sort of packaged together under the Death Metal name, alongside the original rotted versions of the songs the anonymous 4chan user posted. So don't be fooled, the project on platforms like Spotify and Apple Music is not an album, but instead 2 EPs and just a rotted version of the Death Metal EP. So yeah, that was a pretty short and scuffed explanation of the backstory, so if you want something that is a lot more serious and well written, go check out Decay to Death or Jin's review of Death Metal that she wrote for Projector Collective. It'll be linked in the description as well as her Twitter account. It's pretty tight. And that's the backstory of this EP. It's pretty crazy how all of it is true and no one thinks it's fake. Anyways, that was a f***ing lie. Yeah, some people don't buy it, so here's why they think it's a f***ing lie. A lot of aspects about the story just don't really add up for some people. For example, the fact that the original 4chan post is now deleted, how the band members still only go by their first names, and some questioning how legit the disc rotted versions of the songs were, with some people saying the rotted versions could have been made digitally. Now, with claims like this, you'd be inclined to think that this is a pretty controversial conversation to get mixed up with. And because of that, you may be thinking, but Luke, do you think it's fake? So here's my 100% unfiltered opinion about the legitimacy of this backstory. I really don't give a shit. Look, if something comes out confirming the story we already know, then that's pretty cool. But if it does come out that it was actually an elaborate ploy by the band to just make people listen to their music, then honestly, I wouldn't really care because, fake or not, this music's pretty damn good. Speaking of which, let's talk about the music. Let's start with the original EP that was discovered, Death Metal. This EP was released in the year 2000, and it's pretty clear that the band took very heavy inspiration from Radiohead, specifically their critically acclaimed record OK Computer, an album that I doubt any of you have ever heard of. I mean, it's not like it's one of the most universally praised albums of all time or anything like that. Of course, while OK Computer is very much alt-rock for about the entire album, Death Metal goes for a much more dream pop inspired sound, with some some elements of trip hop, emo, and indie rock thrown into the mix. As for the mood of both projects, the records throughout have a very consistent lonely and bittersweet feeling. But I'm not here to make Radiohead comparisons all day, so let's go ahead and talk about this EP. The first track on here, the title track, is considered by most to be the best song off of the EP, and I can see why. The song starts off with this really dreamy sample from the opening credits music from the movie Dr. Strangelove. The sample very effectively creates a calming atmosphere for the listener, an atmosphere that either gets them prepared to get nostalgic about their ex-girlfriend or one that gets them sad about their lack of an ex-girlfriend. Most likely the latter, to be honest. Owain's vocals here have this really lush, easygoing feel to them, adding a lot of emotion to the track on top of the already emotional sound of the song. As for the lyrics, in my opinion, I think they're talking about a girl who's attempting to fit in with her group of friends, but is unable to because she isn't interested in the same things as the rest of the friend group is. For example, one of those shared interests being death metal music. I also think she wants to split off from the friend group described in the track, but she can't, as she is still, quote, holding on to someone who's special, a line that is sung in the chorus a couple times on the cut. This could be a close friend of hers, maybe a partner of some sorts, I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, this song is a fantastic opener to the EP. I absolutely adore this mellow vibe that this song starts the project off with. However, with this song alone, I can see why labels were hesitant to pick up Panchiko. I mean, it was the early 2000s, and the popular music to listen to was not this sad, introspective material. Instead, it was Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani. Yikes! Gee, I sure do feel bad for anyone born in that time period. Moving on. The second track, Stabilizers for Big Boys, goes for a much more emo aesthetic and is for sure the most aggressive song on the project. It's also the EP's incel anthem, with Owain delivering some really sexually frustrated lyrics. I guess you could say this guy is getting pretty horny on this track, so let's put up a parental advisory sticker here, for the love of Christ. Anyways, while I enjoy both the tonal shift this track goes for and the gripping vocal performance from Owain, I do have to say this is probably the weakest of the 4 tracks here. For an EP that is so concise as this one, only clocking in at 18.5 minutes, I would have liked it if every track went for a similar mood to make the release feel more cohesive. This track, while good, just doesn't really fit with the vibe that the title track set. Either way, the song is still cool, but definitely my least favorite here. However, the next 2 tracks here completely make up for the second song. The third track, Lapida, is an absolutely gorgeous ballad that references the famous 1986 Studio Ghibli film Castle in the Sky. It has a somewhat distorted piano that carries the track from start to finish, and with the help of the accompanying guitar, drum loop, and Owain's smooth vocals, this creates one of the most serene moments on the EP for me. The final track on the EP, The Eyes of Abad, is by far my favorite song of the bunch. This song is probably the most mesmerizing one here and has the heaviest trip-hop flair to it out of any of the tracks. If I were to pick a favorite moment from this cut, it would definitely be the final 2 minutes, as the multiple layered vocals from Owain slowly get swallowed by the instrumental around it. It creates such a hypnotic aura that I think leaves the listener in a state of complete bliss. It truly is an amazing closer to the project. Also, even though I don't think the chorus on this track is the best thing written on the EP, it's still my favorite lyrics from the project. Mainly because they're so easy and fun to sing along with. So yeah, for how short the extended play is, it really is able to grab your full attention for the entirety of its concise runtime. This is just some really quality dream pop. But like I mentioned earlier, this wasn't the first taste of these tracks that the general public heard. Instead, they heard the disc-rotted versions that the 4chan user posted back in 2016. So, what do I think of the rotted versions? Well, they're the same songs, so. Yeah, for the most part, the disc rotted version of the EP just sounds like the remastered version with a tiny dose of on top. I've seen some people say they actually prefer this rotted version to the newly remastered version, as they think it creates a sadder, more nostalgic vibe. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I even think the bandmates themselves said they preferred the rotted version to the remastered as well. Personally, while I love the rotted version, I see it more as a cool thing to check out every once in a while instead of something I always return to. I think if I was around whenever the original discovery of this project was posted on 4chan, I may have preferred the rotted version, but since I wasn't, remastered supremacy all day. Anyways, that would be the end of the discussion, but like I said earlier, they actually found a second EP entitled Kicking Cars alongside death metal. So how does it compare to death metal? Well, it's pretty good. Also actively worse. Yeah, this is once again inspired by a lot of OK Computer, and like death metal, it still goes for that dream pop sound, except here the indie rock sound is a lot more prevalent. And for the EP as a whole, I really like all 3 tracks here. I just don't think they're nearly as strong as the 4 found on death metal. Like, let's start with the opener, Cut. I really love the drums and the samples that are used on this track, but for the entire 4 minutes and 53 seconds this track runs, there is this synth arpeggio that I think is just way too loud in the mix. It pretty much engulfs the rest of the instrumental, and after this arpeggio plays in your ear for almost 5 minutes without changing at all, I personally think it gets pretty annoying by the finish. The next song, Sodium Chloride, is probably my favorite song from Kicking Cars. It has a really fun atmosphere, and per usual, Owain kills it vocally and lyrically. However, my biggest gripe with this track is that I think it's a bit too derivative of Radiohead. Like, it may just be me, but this song sounds like if Let Down and No Surprises from OK Computer had a baby. Seriously, that's all I can picture when listening to this song, and it definitely knocks it down a bit. Finally, the title track. I can't put my finger on it as to why, but I just never find myself returning to the song as often as the others. There's no particular reason for that, I just don't. So yeah, I'm not gonna try to find a reason. Don't try to beg for a more in-depth explanation, Dad. So that's what I think of death metal and Kicking Cars. I'm just so fascinated with the origin of this band, this project, how it was discovered, pretty much everything. It's also really cool to see the old band members get back together and interact with the nerdy online music community. And who knows, maybe they'll drop a new project in the future. Well, if they do that, they would have to stop milking death metal, but no way that's gonna happen anytime soon. Yeah, for as long as I've been following this band, all they have done is ride the death metal hype train. And yeah, that's cool, but it's been over a year since the remastered tracks have been released. We've all finished fangirling months ago, but I think Panchiko is just getting started, and dear God, that is one scary thought. Not only have they released a new rendition of Lapida entitled Robots Reprise, but they've also released an EP dedicated to death metal remixes, and also an EP called Live Metal, which is just new remade versions of the remastered tracks. The only truly original thing they have released that isn't just remade songs or archival material is the single Machine Gun Drum, which to me is just mediocre at best. So Panchiko, please, I am asking you kindly, please stop beating a dead horse and make some new music. That's all we want. Anyways, if I was gonna give Panchiko a rating, I would give them a unhealthy hyperfixation with their own past. Out of 10. Well, I had fun talking about Panchiko, but I'm still a little pissed that Ruff Criminal publicly insulted me on his YouTube channel. You know what? Screw that guy. He's not even that talented. What does he do? Like 10-second reviews? I could do that. You know what? I'll do it right now. Hey, today will be, today will be a review, Death Metal Panchiko. It's okay.